Let's kick things off with a big picture question. Why do we even care about military heritage? I mean, it's not exactly everyone's idea of a relaxing holiday to walk old battlefields or wander around military museums. What draws people to this niche piece of history?
Honestly, it goes way deeper than just old cannons and uniforms. Military heritage is about understanding the gritty, complicated events that shaped countries, often with real blood, sweat, and tears. It's the stories, the sacrifices, and even the controversies that echo through generations. When you walk those sites, there's this strange mix of awe, reflection, and sometimes discomfort. That's why it matters.
That's a good point. Those places can feel really charged. I've noticed too, there's this ongoing debate. Should we be celebrating sites of conflict, or are we risking glorifying war?
It's a tough balance. There's always the risk of romanticizing the past, but when done thoughtfully, military heritage tourism is about remembrance and learning. Especially in places with complex histories like South Africa, it becomes a tool for reflection and even reconciliation, not just nostalgia or spectacle.
That actually reminds me of heritage tourism in general. I know it's become a major trend globally, not just with military sites. How does military heritage fit into the bigger tourism scene?
Military heritage tourism is kind of the ultimate niche. While mass tourism is all about numbers, beaches, shopping, and big attractions, heritage tourism focuses on deeper, more personal connections to the past. Military heritage is like a branch of that tree, carving out its own audience of history buffs, veterans, families, and even curious tourists just looking for a different story.
So it's not just for hardcore military enthusiasts? I always pictured these tours as guided by people in khaki, with lots of technical jargon.
Not at all. Sure, you get the experts and collectors, but there's also families, school groups, even casual travelers who stumble onto a site and end up captivated by the human stories behind it. Some come for education, others for a sense of identity, or even to just understand a piece of their own national or family history. And you'd be surprised sometimes the most moving experiences come from people with no personal connection at all.
That's fascinating. Speaking of stories, South Africa's military history is famously complex and, let's be honest, pretty intense. How does the country approach its military heritage tourism?
South Africa is almost a living museum when it comes to military heritage. The battlefields, places like Isandlawana, Rorke's Drift, Blood River, these sites attract a mix of local and international visitors. But what's really cool is how it's not just about old battlegrounds. Museums like the South African Armor Museum or the SAF Museum bring in thousands every year, preserving everything from tanks to fighter jets.
I love that there's also these big events and even reenactments. Imagine showing up for an air show or watching a reenactment of a Boer War skirmish. It's like history literally comes alive.
Exactly. Reenactors are passionate. They don't just dress up. They dive deep into the details. Groups like the Dundee Diehards or the Nutria, reenactors turn dusty history into active learning. And let's not forget private collectors. Some estates even offer tank rides along the Lesotho border. It's immersive, and it makes history personal.
Funny you say that. Some people might see these as just entertainment, but there's a bigger impact, right? How does this tourism shape identity or even help with healing after a turbulent past?
It's more than just fun outings. Visiting these sites, sharing in ceremonies, or even just standing quietly at a memorial, these moments foster reflection. In South Africa, where the past is still very present, military heritage tourism can actually help bridge divides. Learning about all sides, the indigenous fighters, colonial forces, modern soldiers encourages empathy and a fuller national story.
Yeah, and you feel that when you see a diverse crowd at these places, there's a sense that history is being re-examined, not just repeated. But I'm curious, are there challenges with this? Like, does opening up these stories ever stir up controversy?
Sometimes, absolutely. Whose story gets told and how is a huge deal. For years, certain narratives dominated, while others, especially indigenous experiences, were left out. That's changing now, with more effort to include multiple perspectives. But it's always a work in progress. Still, I'd argue that's what makes military heritage tourism so vital. It's a living conversation, not a fixed monument.
After talking through all this, I can see why South Africa's military heritage tourism is a growing field and why there's a push for more research and thoughtful interpretation as it evolves.
You're spot on. There's so much potential, economic, educational, and social, but it needs careful handling, more research, and inclusive storytelling if it's going to stay meaningful and sustainable. The more we understand what motivates people to visit, the better we can design experiences that really matter.
So whether you're a casual visitor or a full-on history geek, there's something in military heritage tourism for everyone. It's not just about the past, but about understanding where we're all headed together.
Couldn't have said it better. It's the kind of travel that doesn't just fill your camera roll. It fills your mind and sometimes even changes how you see the world.
And on that note, thanks so much for unpacking the many layers of military heritage tourism with us today. I hope more people are inspired to look closer at the stories behind the monuments and maybe even book a battlefield tour themselves.